Coffee Corner. We're going to sit here and talk some shit for some Instagram questions and drink some coffee, and Twiggy's going to eat some biscuits. This is Twiggy, Better Surf Technique on Instagram, so have a follow.
That's me.
He's one of the guys I was fortunate to meet a couple years back when I got kicked out of Australia, came to Bali, and now we run coaching trips in the Mets along with some other coaches. And so we're up here hanging out surfing, sponsored by Jawa Fins.
Love them.
Deliver them to you in Bali. We're going to answer some questions. Okay, Willie, foot placement. How to place or fix them to do good turns.
Good question, Willie. I'm really adamant about the ability to move one's back foot, which basically requires a lot of weight on your front foot. I mean, you try standing with 50% weight on each foot, and it's hard to move your back one. Your front foot's generally in the middle of the board. So
Talk louder.
I would suggest, and I talk a lot about this lately, about body parts complementing the person attached to them. So front foot slightly angled forward, back foot never under the 90 degrees, like right angles.
So never pointing backwards. If you point your back foot backwards, you've got half your body trying to go backwards on the wave and the other half trying to go forwards.
Yeah, I think in snowboarding they call it duck feet, and it doesn't work for surfing. Hi Alexa, she introduced me to that saying. Yeah, look, that's super important, and even a not educated human like me knows that your body will not move correctly unless both your feet are complementing each other.
Yes.
And it helps you to rotate your hips forward, get your shoulders pointing the way you want to go. Super important.
So it comes down to the whole you can pick them out if somebody's snowboarded, right?
Absolutely.
And it's poo man. If back foot, you can't see my foot right now, but if I pop up and my back foot and knee are literally pointing that way, in order to then surf, the only way you can move is poo man, because you've locked a hip joint. I can't rotate and actually begin pivoting or compressing to surf. It's got to be poo man. So you'll see a lot, right? Like people popping up with really weird foot stances. I think that's where like if we're working with clay, the pop-up work, but even if somebody just on ground starts drilling the pop-up and making sure those feet are landing in right positions, because you'll see a lot of people either come up way too far and their foot's 10 inches in front of the tail pad, but then they don't move it.
Yeah.
They just surf the whole wave like that.
Yeah.
So it's getting to learn how to adjust it and getting comfortable on a wave to then adjust, making, like you said, complementing everything forward down the line.
If you're like a runner coming out of the blocks, you're balanced on that front foot, ready to shove off the back one and go.
Yeah.
Very similar thing for surfing.
Willie, I hope that answered your question, man. How to fix them. It takes some correction at times. Like you need to see film of what you're doing wrong. What's wrong with the foot placement? Is it placed in opposition? Is it too far on the board? Trying to do big wraparound turns with the foot far too forward on the board. You're taking your foot off the fulcrum. It needs to be further back on that fin.
Yeah.
So I like having a traction pad that has a middle arch, because I feel that arch under my foot, and I know my foot's where it's supposed to be. And if it's not, I slide it back.
A good way to practice it would be lie down, like on a yoga mat or something, and instead of popping up side on, just get up like you're going to walk off the end of the yoga mat.
Forward.
And your feet are going to point in the right direction because you're going somewhere.
Momentum forward, down the line. Worm. It's not Worm's not your real name. It's Worm.
I didn't see it until I put my glasses on.
All right, Worm. How do you generate more speed when using large volume boards, 41 liters? So you're going to have a lot more detail than me. But I would initially say, one, on a volume that much, you should be generating a heap of speed in the first place if your positioning is right. If you're taking off where you need to be, interacting with the wave face you need to be, that volume should be giving you all the speed you need.
41 litres, you should be sitting well up on top of the water, and the reason...
It's a boat.
Yeah, exactly. The main reason that if you are struggling for speed or to maintain speed, it means you're starting the wave by going all the way to the bottom, most likely. If you can leave some space below you on the wave, take off and just get your body pointing where it wants to go and do a little high line first. Surf the top 2/3 of the wave.
Yes.
You're always going to have speed and power at your disposal.
In generation, in terms of mechanics, it's the same for a shortboard.
Yeah.
Like, it's no different. And so if somebody's not getting enough speed on a board with that much volume, I would initially think your takeoffs and pop-ups probably aren't smooth and fluid.
Yeah.
You're getting to a point on the wave that you shouldn't be, and you're draining off all speed.
Yeah. Possibly paddling into the wave, looking straight down, whereas you should be open and
Right.
looking where you want to go and getting your body moving that way sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I would look to. Let us know. Good question. Thank you for that. Here's a question that's not totally technique related. What's the best cardio to do outside of the water? It's personal preference. So like today, you and I, wave after wave, both kind of gassed out. You surf enough to where you don't need to do anything outside of surfing in terms of cardio.
Yeah.
Most people, they're surfing like on a Saturday, hopefully. And so that's where you need to start looking at anybody over the age of 35. First, get your weight in check. Don't be overweight, because if you've got some weight issues, you're then looking at potential cardiac arrest issues and stuff like that. But on top of that, first go out and walk more often. Base level aerobic work, go out and walk kind of fast. And then on top of that,
Find some hills.
find some hills, 100%. Best cardio, there's not, swimming's good. I don't like swimming as much. I prefer getting on a row machine. My years of boxing, I like doing jump rope work. Something where you're doing 20 to 30 minutes minimum of keeping your heart and lungs doing that job. So you can look into something called Maffetone method. The generic of it would be like 180 minus your age is a heart rate zone. You should put in some effort. And then you can look at intensity work of higher intensity swims, higher intensity sprints, something that gets your heart and lungs doing their job. And then you start layering on, again, most people are only surfing on a Saturday or a Sunday, starting to do some type of endurance work for the upper body. So that's where you could be getting into upper body circuits. You could be doing rope throws. Again, swimming is really beneficial for that type of stuff. I prefer a row machine personally. Tips, we could dial this one in. Jason, is it Hodgney? I dig you, man. You always comment on my stuff. Thank you. Tips for gaining, Jason Hodgney, Hajny. I'm probably butchering that. Tips for gaining more speed when paddling.
When paddling. Oh, this is a good one.
Good question, yeah.
And I see a lot of people who can move from A to B quite smoothly and well, and then something changes when a wave comes.
They go fucking insane. They go wave crazy.
The crazy person comes out, and they breathe in, lift their body, so they got less arm in the water. There's this wave which has a steep pool of water coming up it. There's energy coming up underneath them, and they're pulling up, saying, "Do what you want with me." Like, if you can engage like a good paddling posture and have your chest open and your head up so you can see, like when I paddle, I can look over my shoulder and see my feet.
Big, strong, upright.
Yeah, and so you want to be looking where you're going to go and paddling appropriately, but whatever you do, don't take that massive breath in as the wave approaches. I see so many people hold it as well, and then they get stuck at the top of the wave. They might make the drop, they might make not. The wave gets away from them. By the time you see them come up, their eyes are like dinner plates. They're like, man, I've got no breath left. If you just do something as simple as when you're paddling for a wave, on your last 4 strokes or whatever, and positioning is important, right? Just a nice outward breath, like, and it's not outward breath and start looking down. It's just allowing the air to come out of your lungs and expand. That'll create some downward pressure, and that'll help you into the wave. Now, to do it not paddling for a wave, it's just about good posture. Don't think paddling faster is going to make you go faster.
No.
Apply more force through the stroke. Breathe. Just focus on your breathing and a good, long, forceful stroke, and you'll glide.
It's all about planing surface, right?
Yeah.
So like, people see a wave coming, they go all back leg heavy, really arch up. So they've just taken the planing surface of their board and done that.
Yeah.
So they've just fucked the planing surface.
Exactly.
So it's that exhale drive kind of down where you're just getting that planing surface, more board in the water. Good couple strokes. One thing you'll see often, and I actually was just commenting to a buddy, he was at one of the wave pools and sent me some videos, and we see this on the trips all the time. Wave coming.
Yeah.
Forearm spinning.
Yeah.
And it should, 2 strokes.
Yeah.
3 strokes even. Just big, deep, heavier, longer strokes to get into that wave. Being calm and conscientious and not going fucking frantic.
Yeah.
I'm dropping too many F-bombs for our first. For our first.
Clayton calls it spinning the wheels.
Spinning, it's slip. Like swimmers talk about slip. If I go into the water and pull super fast, my hand has literally slipped through the water.
Yeah.
So you're trying to move a big volume of water, but not doing it frantically. And then paddling around to get more speed, think of that planing surface. So you'll see beginners, you can pick them off. They've got that whole nose of the board kind of out of the water. So find that planing surface, and like Twiggy was talking about, paddle calm and with awareness. I will calm my breath rate, get nice and long, kind of get upright, and real smooth, solid strokes where I'm not overreaching, because if I overreach, I just get my hand in, kind of mid-reach, deep, calm stroke. And it's something I'm constantly checking in with myself. Like today with heaps of waves, in, out, I'm constantly reassessing my paddling, slow it down, catch my breath. Am I too much neck tension? Can I upright a little more? It needs to take more awareness for most people. Those are kind of some catch-alls for speed.
If you're not gliding, there's a few possibilities. 1, you're too far back on the board.
Yeah.
2 is your posture's wrong. And 3 is you're not applying enough force. For good posture, if you relax and just lay flat on the board, basically my mouth goes underwater, and then I engage into that posture and the nose just lifts out of the water and I start paddling.
This is from Jen Loves Fun of Localish, Jen and Greg.
I know that chick.
Do you recall, this is a good question. I'll ask the question first. We're about to go to new lows on this first ever show. Jen asks, what's the proper protocol for shitting in the water? And she then follows up with, where can I buy a current leaf? Were you there for the current leaf conversation?
No, I wasn't, but it sounds
funny conversation.
intriguing.
So like Jen and her partner Greg just came on our Mets trip, and we were talking about taking water bogs. And we actually had a girl on the boat who had never even peed in the water.
Oh, that's right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Which she now successfully has. We coached her into that. Think of what you can do with yourself coming on one of our coaching
We're
trips.
changing lives one at a time.
So current leaf was the joke of you've got to take a leaf into the lineup so you can figure which way the current's going. So don't paddle out without your current leaf, because you don't want to shit with current into the field. Maybe
I've
you do.
been in the lineup when it's happened in the Mets, that little reverse current, and next thing you know, surprise, it's not nice. So bring some awareness into your aqua turds.
And a current leaf. Don't forget your current leaf.
Yeah.
This one's for you, man. What's the technique on laybacks? And I know this can be a huge... I think first people need to see what they're doing wrong.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of on your backhand, it's, core strength is everything. I used to be able to do them really well as a grom. Like I was able to just stay back forever and just let the wave push me back up. And now I'm probably just as strong as I was then, but I have a lot more trouble getting back up. So on my forehand, in terms of a drop wallet turn, it's just about not pushing the board too far away from yourself. So it always feels like as soon as you release, you're going to go back onto the board. And I'm really frothing on drop wallet turns at the moment. So yeah,
Until you fucked your shoulder up, man.
Yeah, left an arm behind.
That was F-bomb number 3 or 4, I think. Sorry.
But yeah, on your backhand, it's just about using the angle of the wave. Depends how you want to do it. Like I used to lay right back onto the wave, but it's not something you can do in bigger, more powerful waves. You can't really park your back on that part of the wave because then it's going to own you a bit. So yeah, good question. Andy Irons always springs to mind when I think of good backhand laybacks. That guy was amazing. So Maybe watch some Andy clips.
I think, like you said on the forehand, I don't try them. I should. It's all about finding full drop balls, right? You're almost compressing enough, but not too far, so you've still got enough pressure from the board to apply force to get yourself back on top of it. Yeah. When I see people do them often and failing them, they're flailing them so hard that they've got no potential of even getting back on top of the board.
If you dug deep enough, you could actually find old footage of a guy named Derek Hind, if you haven't heard of him, an older Australian surfer and a journalist, and he used to do forehand laybacks in the barrel, and it was pretty cool the way he did it, and it's worth checking out if you can find them.
I see the battery thing flashing on our camera, so let's see if we can get. We'll film another one of these because there's more questions. How, from Scotty Tizzle, how to keep your shoulders and core loose and strong. It's way too in-depth of a question, man. Like, I could ramble on this for 30 minutes. Core loose and strong and shoulders, mobility. Easiest thing for the upper body, he actually just did a deltoid sprain. Easiest thing for upper body, know how to tennis ball all this tissue out, and especially underneath, and start hanging. Every day, hang from something. Tree branch, pull up, rings, something, and hang until your grip gives out. And you can literally restructure a shoulder joint over time. Literally, that's one of the things that everybody should be doing on a near daily basis. Because especially, we get stuck in these postures, and this hanging is just going to slowly start to undo it. But then a paddle stroke is largely using everything underneath the arm, right? A lot of lat, and so it's compressing that shoulder down. So over time, you can lose the ability to easily get the shoulder overhead, and then delts have to work harder, upper trap has to work harder. So start hanging. Strong, that's good training, man. That's too in-depth. I'm not trying to bias or blasé over your question, but without knowing parameters of what you're doing, or it's hard to discuss. Have a look at any of the resources on my site for kind of core strength. I think everybody should be doing some basic core strength. Foundation training is a good one. Look up an exercise called a bird dog. All the basic core conditioning I do in all the programs is there for you to access. You can join Ocean Sports Performance for like a $7 trial and have a look at the site. Start looking at some of the stuff I'm using.
A lot of it comes down to like, what's your life been like, right? You're on a computer all the time. Even big, strong tradesmen who are on power tools where they have to close their shoulders to apply force, you can see it in their paddling and in their surfing and that.
They get stuck there. So
you got to balance it out, right?
Getting strong, you got to undo, get the mobility back, and then you can get strong. Because if you get strong in this shitty position, it's not beneficial.
Yeah.
Quick shout out again for our sponsors, Jawa Fins. If you're in Bali, they'll deliver you fins to wherever you're staying. Good fins.
Hit them up, Facebook and Instagram.
All right. Okay, a couple turns here. Callie Robin, longtime follower, cool woman. Accelerating and improving turns, technique-wise, 7-foot board. So I remember when you made me surf your 610 here.
Yeah.
I think the key to improving turns is learning how to get the board, the rail, to do the turn.
Yeah.
So that comes down to proper mechanics. Learning to use your body the right way to influence the board.
Absolutely. And that, I mean, the bigger the board, obviously the slower the turn's going to happen. So you need to be patient. The more upright you are, and the more your arms are up, the more you can get that outside of the rail line to influence the board sooner. So no lazy arms, nothing down here. You don't want to turn with your shoulder, you want to turn with your arm. Get it out, get that board onto its rail. But it's always going to be, on a 7-foot board, it's going to be 1, 2, 3,
Slower,
4,
longer
you know,
holds.
like maybe 5. On a short board, it's 1, 2, 3. Longer board, 1, 2, 3, 4. How far are you going to take it back so you don't get too far back on the wave? Like, always surfing to the speed the wave allows, you know?
That's it. Like even on men's trip, like a couple of people were like, oh, I wanted to be doing this or these type of turns, and they were on a board that wouldn't even allow that type of surfing.
Yeah.
So you've got to think about the type of turns you're wanting to do. Is that board even capable of doing them? A 7-foot board, that's got a really big turning circumference. It's not going to be these quick little whack, pack. It needs some length. And then the wave. Is the wave allowing for that type of turn?
And then to expand on that too, like, what's the width of the board? Is it really flat? Is it like, you know, a long, narrow board, pointy at each end? Man, if you've got like what we refer to as an Indo-style gun, and let's say 7 feet, and you're riding it in small waves, it's not going to fit that well, but you might be able to set that up as a twin fin. You're going to maximise your speed and manoeuvrability. It'll teach you to learn to use that rail well and not stomp on the back foot. So just toy around with it a bit.
This segues into another question somebody asked. Let me see who. Hold on. It was a skateboard question.
Ooh.
From Guy Sanchez. Guillermo Sanchez. Thanks for the question, bro. Could skateboarding improve your surfing skills? So this is where, like, yes, it can, depending on the type of skateboarding and what you're doing. But like Clay puts us on the Carver, and it absolutely will help instill some fundamental movements. Going back to the 7-foot board, like technique, does she have the body awareness and movement to turn that 7-footer? Get on a Carver and start feeling the rotation. And
even like, I mean, you know, you talk in terms of skateboarding. Like I've seen clips of Ben Dunn on Martin Dunn's YouTube clip where he's riding a longboard skateboard. And he's accentuating those body movements, and it gives you a great idea of what you need to be doing.
I've seen like a fair bit of the skateboard stuff. What I find skateboarding to be beneficial for is learning how to compress and hold bottom turns, so going toe side rail and then coming heel side rail through turns. Generating speed and stuff, people will get whippy with little skateboards, and that's when you see people doing that like shitty, choppy, like back forth widget kind of pumping. Yeah. So I like skateboarding, get used to the flow, linking bottom turn and top turn kind of turns, feeling the rotations.
If you watch a good skateboarder in, say for example, a kidney-shaped pool, you watch the way they use the corners of the pool. They go into them and they use that corner to come out of it with speed to get to the other side of the pool and maybe get air or do a grind or something like that. It's really integral part of not only that type of skateboarding, but learning to use the right parts of the wave to get you to do the same thing.
Those like centrifugal vectors.
Exactly.
Yes, cool. Good question. You remember Maddie Coleman?
Of course. I love Maddie Coleman. Dude.
How do you throw a schtingle around? Just with style and balls, man.
Yeah. You bring it to Indo, I believe. We're seeing you pretty soon, champ.
Thomas Stani, living in Hong Kong. Question: what should a beginner focus on first? Mobility or paddling? Both, really. But like we've had this conversation, we were talking about this yesterday.
Yeah.
People need ocean awareness, like comfort, not freaking out, some breath awareness, some breath hold awareness.
Yeah.
Paying attention to the ocean, and then paddling efficiency.
Absolutely. I mean, I think about this a lot lately, and I think in terms of where, for myself, where I grew up, like on the east coast of Australia, it's a place that often has some pretty small, shitty waves. There's a lot of beaches. There's a lot of opportunities to learn in like little reforms or just little corners of beaches that aren't too threatening, and you get years and years of repetition in that, so you get to work stuff out. Like people that are learning to surf in places where there's an abundance of long period swells and not that friendly waves, they've got their work cut out for them, because they're not going to find that level of comfortability as easily and as quickly as far as being in the ocean's concerned. There's always that more raw power. So yeah, I think if you grow up in a country similar to the east coast of Australia, it's a real blessing.
Total blessing, because you get time in the ocean, being aware, learning how to read. Like we were talking on the trip, like reading waves is learning a language, learning how to speak, and it's a visual language. So for beginners, you also asked about mobility. It's really beneficial if you're a guy that's already stiff in the whole pop-up process. Mobility long-term for longevity is really, really important. But for that beginner, like foam top, beginner, spend more time watching, reading the ocean, paddling efficiency, and the awareness that the paddling, it's going to wear you out at first. Especially if you're in a beach break, closeout, whitewater scenario, like it's going to be an immense amount of upper body work. So that I think getting off the foam top and getting into some better waves, you're really going to pay some dividends by paying more attention, getting comfortable. Like we said, you should be able to swim a K.
Yeah.
Just for safety, water safety. Like, are you looking at a break? If you lost your board, are you totally comfortable swimming up around rips? Do you know where the rips are? If you lost your board, do you know how to get in? Basic water awareness. And then learning how to be a confident and efficient paddler, calm, dial in the technique a bit more. I think that's what's going to do well for most beginners. And then you just need a lot of time on the wave face.
Yeah. If you want to be out of sync with the ocean, best way to do it is panic. Or even not have a calm mind. And then it's like water just decides to gang up on you.
Here's a good one. Jordan, if you can talk a little about good recuperation food after a long session.
That's your stuff.
Man. So like there comes a point where like calories are super relevant. It depends like how long your session is. Nutrition's always hard to give base answers because there's all these little individual nuances. Generally speaking, if you're of a healthy body mass, pretty lean, so Twiggy and I, if we're out super long session, first I'm going to prioritize hydration. Drink a lot of water. Stay off the piss, stay off the shitty Bintangs, drink a bunch of water, coconuts if you got them because they've got a bunch of little electrolytes. Something I really like, water, honey, good salt. It's basically a Gatorade or a Powerade. And it's easy. What you're trying to do is refuel or replenish muscle glycogen stores. So for lack of better terms, sugar in the muscles, it's used for energy. Honey's a good way to get it in there. And then I'll prioritize generally like some whole food carbs. So like I'll smash some fruit. You want to kind of go carb, if we're talking just about recovery, carbs and protein. That's where you want to prioritize. Not heaps of fat because you've got a higher carb content there. So like our meal this morning, surfed, I ate a bunch of papaya, sweet potato, eggs, and then added in some bacon. If I was like really dialing it in, I'd say stay off the bacon, bunch of eggs, bunch of sweet potato, papaya if you'd prefer, because you're focusing on protein to repair, recover all the little amino acids used as building blocks, and then carbs so that you can use the protein to replenish or to repair rather than being diverted into gluconeogenesis or creating blood sugar essentially out of it to muscle glycogen. Hydration's the biggest one. Like you see it on boats in the Meds, getting on the fucking Bintangs and then popping ibuprofens and shit.
Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster. Hey, I want to ask a quick question, which that's led me to. So I always carry a little bag of Himalayan salt in my surf gear, right?
Yeah.
Now, is there a shelf life for that stuff?
Nah.
Cool, because I've been there for like about a year now, and every 2 days ago when I told you I had that real low, I just came in and just stuck my finger in it and warmed straight in.
So like, especially you doing keto, and a lot of us that are really active, again, healthy body mass, we don't have blood pressure issues, we could get away with, you see how much salt I generally eat. We could eat grams of salt. So it's not a bad thing to consume. And throw some in your water, like a good pinch. Throw some honey if you want. So recovery, prioritize some good carbs, like not Snickers bars and shit, but like some whole foods, nutrient dense carbohydrate, get in some protein. In that recovery meal, you kind of want to go lesser fat, so you can go higher carb. That's kind of general overview of that. I think that's it for the questions, man.
Cool. Did we get onto that foot extension one?
Oh, we didn't. So yeah, 2 more.
Okay.
Post-shoulder surgery from Thai Skate of Mind. When is the right time to get back in the water? That is a question for you and your presiding surgeon and physical therapist. The one thing you can think of, right? Surfing. We need a spectrum of movement out of the arm, both high intensity pulling and then long tempo duration paddling. Is your shoulder good for both of those? So are you back to doing pull-ups and chin-ups? Can you do horizontal rows? Do you have the mobility? So depending on the type of surgery, you're looking 6 to 12 months probably before you're fully athletically capable. Find a really good sports physio and have a conversation with that person. But full range of motion, base levels of strength again. Can you do proper loaded push-ups? Think of like if you've got to do a succession of duck dives with heavy paddle in between.
Yeah.
Do you have the shoulder durability for that at the
Trying to
moment?
rip your board away from
Exactly.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the question about back knee. It was from KB Koss. Where'd it go? Emphasis on the back foot during a frontside hack or turn. Extend or knee bent. Your answer, man.
Okay, so the angle of the wave dictates extension compression. But what you're basically doing is extending the back foot, but as the board comes through the turn, you're letting yourself, via the momentum you carried into that turn, back onto the board.
Yeah.
So the more momentum you've got and the more face you've got to work with, the more you can stay extended through it, and as the turn finishes, you just let yourself back over the board and ideally bang onto that other rail and straight into your next turn.
I think there was a guy actually out this morning doing it over and over. People will mess up in terms of weight distribution and think the turn is just jamming back foot, and it's the finesse between the two.
It's so much front foot and just it's light adjustments with your back foot, you know, and that's how you get by applying all that weight or that momentum into the front foot and just toying with it at the back, you're keeping the speed through the turn. The harder you extend or push with that back foot, then that sharp edge rail is displacing water and you're slowing down. So you want to carry water, you want to carry speed through that turn, just think front foot. You know.
All over it. How can people find you?
Better Surf Technique on Instagram and Twiggy Van Ryan on Facebook. Hit me up anytime. Come to Bali. Come surfing.
We are just now starting to release dates for 2020 coaching trips. We will be Mentawais March likely 13th to 25th.
Yeah.
We're going to be in Nicaragua sometime in probably June.
Bring that on.
And then we're dialing some other trips too. So if you want to join us on some surf trips, learn how to use a current leaf more efficiently, get in touch. If you dig this type of stuff, let us know. We'll do some more of it. This was a long video. Hope you dig it.
Thanks.